Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of the VJ Hour. My name is Victoria Dono, and I'm your host for today's session. Today, we have Priscilla from Canada, which is the first Canadian that made history at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. Just a bit of a background information about Priscilla before we continue about her sports achievements. Priscilla Gagne was born with a genetic eye disorder called retinis pigmentosa and has 4 degrees of peripheral vision, which means a complete loss of night vision. But her visual impairment did not deter her from displaying interest in sports from a very early age. Despite experiencing various athletic endeavors, Priscilla has taken up judo at the age of 23 and made it through the rankings with improvements year on year. Among some achievements, there is the bronze medal at the World Cup in Hungary in 2015. There is the silver medal obtained at the German Open in Heidelberg in 2016. There's a silver medal as well at the IBSA Grand Prix in Tashkent in 2019. However, the Dream Week happened this year at the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, which actually happened with 1 year delay due to COVID. She not only won the silver medal in her category, she also carried Canada's flag in the opening ceremonies of the Games. And as I mentioned earlier, she's the first Canadian woman in history to win a medal in this discipline. And besides numerous achievements in the sports arena, Priscilla is very active in extracurricular activities. Mainly in empowering future judokas to pursue their dreams, push their limits, and dream big. I will not continue because I'm excited to give the floor to Priscilla and to welcome her and to thank her for accepting the invite to be in our session today. Priscilla, hello and welcome to today's session. Since the last time we spoke, you were preparing for the Paralympic Games in Tokyo. So
Yes.
how have you been? What have you been up to?
I've been doing so well. So much has happened, and that was a fantastic article you did. And thank you so much for having me here today and speaking with you. I'm really excited. Things have been amazing. Every aspect of my life have been just bursting, athletically, career-wise, and volunteer. I'm having a great time. Things are going really, really well for me.
It's great to see the positive attitude in all aspects of your life, because it's also great to see, but it's also very inspiring for many people. How do you keep your positive levels up?
With a lot of support. I'm not always, I think it's important to know, I'm not always, super bubbly and everything all the time. But there's key people in my life that I can be not bubbly with, and they can encourage me and they can really speak into my life and help me out. And so those people I keep very, very close to me, and they really help me a lot, and through the darker times or the more difficult times. And my faith is a big part of that too, to stay encouraged and to persevere. And music is another big one for me. It's my life. I breathe, live, listen to music all the time, everywhere. And to me, there's life in it, and it gives me life too. So it can pull me out of a mood. It can put me in a mood. It's very influential for me personally.
Nice, super nice. Thank you for sharing. So, I actually want to go back in time a bit and to discuss with you about your visual impairment, right? So I was mentioning that you were born with a genetic eye disorder, and you have no central vision. Thus placing you technically as a blind person. So how did this condition affect you growing up, but still succeeding in your field?
Sure. So actually, when I was a little kid growing up, I still could read. I could read and write. I could see eye color. I could see color differences. I had no night vision, and I was always considered legally blind, and I always had blind spots. So I could never drive a car even on my best day. But my family was amazing, and they really encouraged me to try everything and to try new things. My cousins included me in things. My parents never held me back from trying new things. So I was really able to test my limits and push myself and see what I really could do. But then, when I got to school, my experience was very, very different, where it was the complete opposite. They didn't want me running around the playground equipment. They wouldn't let me play tag or equipment tag, and I was not allowed to join the track team. I was really held back in every sport that you can think of. I was not allowed to join, and which is really hard for me because it's what I really wanted to do. It was a big passion of mine. And it wasn't until my last 2 years of elementary school, I had changed schools and I was finally allowed to join the track team. And that was really the beginning of being able to belong. And then I went away to a blind school for 2 years where I was introduced to all kinds of sports that are adapted for people with vision impairments. So touch football, cross country running, track and field. Wrestling was my favorite one, along with goalball, which is another sport for the vision impaired. And those two are the sports that I really excelled at. And everyone there really taught me, the teachers, the coaches, even some of the other students. My best friend, Whitney, she taught me to stand up for myself and self-advocate. And that's what I started to do. So I took all those skills and went back into the mainstream school system and was able to join a rugby team as the water girl. And I found a lot more acceptance in my later school years as far as being allowed to join sports. And I took all of that into discovering judo at 23. And but yeah, growing up, it was to get back to your question, it was really a struggle to fight, figuratively and non-figuratively, to belong and to prove to the world that I was able to do it. Just, I might take a different route to get there. I might need a little help. I might take some thinking outside of the box, but I knew I could do it and I couldn't wait to prove it to them. And so that was the attitude I had grown up.
So if you choose like three main factors that helped you, overcame and really succeed despite the challenges that you encountered in those years, what would those be?
In those years, I would say I always believed in God. I was never religious, but I believed in God. And I really, for some unknown reason, knew he was on my side. And that I was like, one day they'll see, because, you and me together, we can take on anything. So that was my attitude as a kid right up until this day. That was number one. Number two was my parents and my family really allowing me to explore and test for myself and let me get hurt. They allowed me to get hurt. They allowed me to scrape my knees and fall off my bike. They allowed me to run, freely and stumble and figure out, okay, what can I do? What can't I do? What can I do differently? So family, my belief in God, and probably the third one was watching the Olympics when I was 10 years old on TV and watching Michael Johnston win his gold medal with gold shoes. And I saw that smile on his face. I was standing about a foot away from the TV and they zoomed in on his face and I saw the smile. And remembering that smile, throughout my childhood was like, one day that's going to be me. I can do it too. So that I can do it too, mixed with the support from my family and the belief that I wasn't alone. Those three things is what carried me through my childhood and teenage years.
It's just so inspiring only to hear you. Thank you very much for sharing and being so open with us. It's amazing. Yeah. Faith is just generally faith and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel definitely keep moving, right?
Yeah. Keeping them fixed on that because there's a lot of darkness in the tunnel and a lot of surprises and bumps, but when you keep your eyes focused, you can get through it all. And it's so worth it.
Yeah, indeed. And I know actually, while doing like lots of research, that you played for Canada's national goalball team prior.
I did. Yep.
So how did that contribute to your current achievements? What did you learn from that experience that helped you?
Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. I was doing both wrestling and goalball at the same time, and I was living at the blind school. Yeah. So I was only in residence to sleep, and I loved it. And I loved goalball. I loved the sport. I loved participating in it. Teamwork, we learned to give each other space to say what we need to say or be frustrated and just get right back to being a united front and get back to playing. So I think learning that you can have your moments and still be a team and learning just acceptance and love. You know, when I walked away from that sport and was pursuing other things, they accepted me still, and I think that showed a lot to their character and to the character of sport, of just support and friendship and being a true team at heart, you know. And just learning being a part of something was so exciting, because that was the first time I traveled with the team, and it was with my friends. You know, we were all good friends. And it was just so exciting to travel as a team, to travel with friends, and to have that hotel experience as a young kid, you know, and just beautiful. It was wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And was it immediately after this sport that you decided to go into judo?
No. So I started goalball when I was in 9th grade, so at 14 years old.
Yeah.
I started judo at 23, but because there was I was in wrestling before, as I mentioned, and there's no wrestling in the Paralympics.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved goalball. I really did. And when I was on the national team, I loved it. I just really missed combat sport. And there's just something about being physical, and I can't, it's indescribable. It's phenomenal. It's this amazing, exhilarating feeling of using your whole body and just, you know, doing these amazing things with it. Which you do in goalball as well, but just that physical struggle, you know, I loved. And so I did some investigating and found out that I wasn't too old to join the judo team. So I asked if they would take me on, if they were willing to train me up from white belt. And there was a bit of a gap there. But I still love goalball, and I'm still friends with the goalball team and the coach as well. So very meaningful time of my life.
So it basically means that, you know, throughout the time you've tried this, you've tried that, and then in judo you basically found your sweet spot, and this is what you continue doing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I love running. Running is another big passion. It's like my first love was running, and so I do that for fun, and I get to do judo. I get to do judo for a living. I mean, how cool is that, you know? And yeah, I think you should. I think it's healthy to try a little bit of everything and see what you truly are passionate about and what you're talented in, putting those two things together. And having said that, I wasn't a natural gifted judoka. You know, I'm not naturally gifted to do judo. It's something I really had to work at, and my coaches had to have a lot of patience with me. And I don't have beautiful judo. I don't have beautiful techniques. I'm very scrappy, and, you know, fight. And that works for me. So it's not like it was my natural gift, but it was my passion, and enough people believed in me to help me to make it what it is today.
That's an interesting thing. So you say your judo is not beautiful, but is there a specific way that judo should be? Or I think it's I feel it's very individual to each athlete, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, everyone has their own fighting style. Okay. There's a classic style, which is the original, you know, birthplace is Japan, so it's like the Japanese sport, and it's very classical, very beautiful. The throws are very epic and just look amazing, and full control and clean. And if you do it right, there's not really a struggle. You can use the other person's weight against them, and just opportunistic. Capitalizing on certain moments, and boom, you know, you can do an amazing foot sweep or throw, and it's very clean, crisp, and it looks good on TV. My style of judo is not that at all. It's very muscly. It's very opportunistic as well, but more forceful, and just not the big, beautiful things that you would see some of the more distinguished judokas displaying.
I see. Well, I can see you're very self-aware of your style and how you, you know, you progressed in this sport. So congrats on that. And, you know, while we speak about judo, I know that you have a very strong bond with your coach, Andrei Sadej, and which is actually a coach for both Olympic and Paralympic Games, right? So how did he help you and motivate you to achieve your goals in judo?
So I met Andre about a year before he officially became the national coach. And he's just from day one was very hands-on and very open to creative thinking. and exploring different options and teaching in knowing me, knowing how I move and what would work for me personally, as opposed to, like I said before, the traditional. So he was very aware of all of that. So he was from day one just so supportive and believed in me 100% and has always supported me. And then when he became the national coach and started traveling with us, we just really connected. You know, he's an amazing person with an amazing background and such empathy and character and respect that is unmeasurable. And he's so smart and intellectual and very methodical. So when it comes to strategy, he's the best. You know, he can analyze things and say, okay, this is what we should do. And just with my experience with him and what he's done and what I know he's done in the past with the able-bodied team, I just fully trust him. And if he says something, I just trust that it's going to work. And I think it works so well too, because if I do have questions or if I do have doubts or frustrations, I feel completely free to tell it to him, to speak it to him and communicate with him, unguarded, unfiltered. He hears me every time, even if he can't do anything about it. I know he hears me, and I know he's very empathetic towards it, and he does everything he can. And then, you know, so we understand each other very well, and we respect each other. And the times that, you know, when you're working with people with disabilities, there's going to be many times in that journey that you're going to have to help advocate for them, because the world is built for able-bodied people. It's not built with people living with disabilities in mind. It's usually an afterthought or a forced change. And so we encounter these hiccups along the way that we have to pick our battles. Do we head this one on right now, or do we wait for later? And so he has been an amazing advocate, an amazing voice for me, and a great, not a buffer or shield, but like he'll take the hit for me kind of a thing. You know, he'll stick his neck out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, just to advocate for me and for people with disabilities in general. And it's just, I have so much respect for him. And I'm just so thankful for him and for the friendship relationship that we have. It's because of him that I am where I am today. You know, his coaching, his personal, you can have the most skilled coach and the most top drawer athlete become coach. Yeah. But if they don't have the ability to empathize, read a room, read an athlete, and communicate, it's not going to get you anywhere. And he has everything. He's the whole package.
So you see, at the end of the day, it is exactly like you say, it's a package. It has to have a multi-dimensional view to it. You cannot just be technically good. You also have to have all the other things embedded for that. And so you had him since you started judo at 23?
No, I started judo. My first ever sensei was Sensei Bob Singh, who's from Sarnia. He was a volunteer sensei at the YMCA. Who took me under his wing and let me throw him numerous times, and the YMCA would have to kick us out because we'd be there so late. But I met Andre years later. I had been to Barrie with Sensei Blair and Sensei. There are two Sensei Bobs, Sensei Bills, and then we went. And then I eventually moved to Ottawa. Sensei Natalie and Sensei June and. Too many senseis to name them all, but that's where I met Andre. So I was probably 27 by that time, 26, 27, somewhere around there when I met Andre.
And you continue to have a strong bond.
That's absolutely. Great. Yep. I'm 35 now, and our bond has only gotten stronger. We've faced a lot more things in the last year and a half that's been really hard and difficult, and it's definitely, I just respect him all the more.
I see. And then through in time, and improving in judo, you had your debut at the Paralympic Games in Rio back in 2016,
yes.
where you managed to get the 5th place. So, what were the main learnings from that experience as the first time at the Paralympic Games?
Yes, well, that was an amazing experience. Sold out venue. And even with a sold out venue and everyone screaming, I could still hear my mom in the crowd, my dad. And that was really cool, And so that was just a phenomenal experience. The kids were so loving. And I guess what I learned, something that was just so profound to me, even though I lost a match, I would walk off the stage and there would be a group of kids chanting Canada or chanting my name. you know, and I would just give like the smallest little thumbs up and they go wild. And it just showed me whether you win or whether you lose, when you have the right attitude, the right heart, and you've really given your everything, your all. And kids see that, you know, and that's a beautiful thing for them to see you give everything you have, every ounce of energy, no regrets, you leave it all out there. And even though you lose, they see you walking off and still able to engage with them. That just tells me there's somebody always watching. And if you can teach them how to lose well and how to persevere in life, I think that will go a really long way. So that was a big lesson for me. And then just practically speaking, I learned about myself that I have nerves that, you know, I didn't think I'd get nervous to the point where it would affect me physically. But that first fight before going out there, my legs were really heavy. You know, it was like moving logs when I was walking. It was really bizarre. And I've never experienced that since. But just to be aware that that's a possibility was something I kept in my mind and in my visualization exercises preparing for Tokyo.
Mm-hmm. I first of all love that you're seeing the positive aspects in any situation that you encounter, even in a loss, right? You're always taking the good part of it, and I think that's a skill that you have. So kudos for that. And then regarding nervousness, right? It's not only probably in judo. We all get to have this sometimes. It gets pretty bizarre, as you correctly mentioned. So how are you able to control those situations, right?
So for judo, I control it by visualizing. So leading up to Tokyo, I would be getting in the elevator to go up to the training facility. So coming out of the elevator, I would picture that moment as though, and it was just as real as if it was really happening. So as I step out of the elevator and walk down the small hall to the training center, I would picture that as the chute where I'm about to walk to go to the competition, to go up the stage to the competition fight. And I would get butterflies, you know, just thinking, because it was just so real. And I would do it over and over to the point where I could control it a little bit with the butterflies weren't so real. Or you can use the butterflies to your advantage and rechannel that energy that goes to my legs and make me slow, rechannel that energy to make me quick and powerful and dynamic. And doing that mentally, you know, for months before it actually came. And then in everyday life, when I do a speaking engagement or something like that, one thing I do it before is I always say a quick prayer, you know, and then I get out and I use that energy because I'll speed talk or I'll walk really fast or fidget all the time. And so to do that, I'll walk with control and I'll make mental notes. Okay, pause here, you know, take a breath and look around at the crowd and then can, you know, walk a little bit more and just speak at the speed that you walk, you know. And so that really helps to slow down those nerves that will make me sound like a chipmunk and go through my whole speech in 5 minutes instead of 45 minutes. And so that's what helps me. So yeah, just taking a breath, visualizing and planning, I think really help a lot with the nerves.
It's very admiring because you seem like you're very in control and you anticipate certain things, right? And with these exercises and techniques, you're able to control that a bit more. And when you actually have to perform at some venue, that really helps, right? And then when you say visualization, it means, in my mind, it seems like you're just kind of reliving those moments, right? And then you basically go through all the stress, and when it actually comes, you don't feel that stressed anymore.
That's the exact idea. Or at the very least, you're not surprised by the stress.
Right, yeah.
At the least. But yeah, normally you can work through it and change it and rechannel it. But yeah, that's exactly the point of it. What you just said is 100% why I did it.
That's great. And trust me, I actually tried it, and I think it's not as easy as it sounds. So I guess you had a lot of practice.
Sure. Lots of practice, yeah.
But thank you for sharing. I think this is great, definitely a great technique, not only in sports, but generally in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of sport, you know, is everything can be translated into life. I love that. Everything you learn in sport and in teamwork and failures and because you learn from success too. Yeah. You can take all of that, you know, and analyze it and use it in everyday life.
Uh-huh. And just the last note on these techniques, is this something that you came up with that really works for you, and you tried multiple other techniques, or this was what you started doing from the beginning and it really helped?
I always did visualization. I did that from the time I was a teenager doing wrestling. I would always visualize the match. But what changed for me, the game changer, was I started to see a mental prep consultant, and so Angela. And so she came and she taught me the whole picture, the fight before the fight kind of a thing. Thank you. And, and so that's where that part of the visualization came in, was visualizing the venue. And when she said that to me, it was through Zoom, because we couldn't meet because of COVID. So I've never met her. Oh, I met her once in person, but she told me, visualize the venue. Picture just getting to the venue, the building. Then picture being in the building. Then picture being in the competition room, the warm-up room, and then picture the competition area. Mm-hmm. So these little, day by day things, I just built on them. And one thing I started to do that I kind of taught myself before was smells, because I noticed smells would make me nervous. So I would go to a foreign country and I would smell like a detergent that was really strong, a clean detergent that was really strong. And it would I'd get nervous, like, oh, this is happening, we're here. So what I started to do is I would go shopping and buy, every time I got soap or shampoo, I would buy a different scent. Or like laundry, I'd get a different scent. So I would get used to all these different smells, so that when I would go to and smell something new, it wouldn't be like a trigger for nerves. So yeah, there's a lot I learned on my own, and there's a lot I gained from the mental consultant, for sure. The mental consultant.
Yeah, exactly. So this is also what I was trying to understand. So sometimes we find our own techniques, but sometimes it's completely okay to ask for help and to ask for guidance, because how else would you know?
Hey, nobody gets to the top without learning, A good leader has followed before. So you need to be able to ask for help and not be shy about it, own it. People
feel empowered to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Thank you very much for that. As I already mentioned, you have so many medals in your palmarès, right? Including the Pan Am Para Judo Championships in your hometown in Calgary. In 2019, you won the Paralympic Games and the medals at the Paralympic Games and also in the IBSA Games. So overall, is that about the experience, or it's about the medals, or it's about the journey? How is it for Priscilla?
It is 100% about the journey, and it's about learning. It's about living your dreams and pursuing your dreams. If the moment was all about the podium and all about the medals only, we miss so much of our lives. And so getting to my goal of being on the podium is a huge part. It's the majority of it to me. And just because people that you walk through that journey with, when they see you lose and when they see the struggles you have to do, and then they see you succeed, it's so rewarding on so many levels to me, to the people around me. And it's definitely about the journey. And that's something I like to say in the conferences that I get the honor of speaking in high schools or something. I love to say, remember, it's the journey. Keep your eyes on the goal, but enjoy the journey. Don't let it pass you by, because sometimes the destination, as we learned with COVID, sometimes the destination doesn't come. Something happens and it changes, and you don't get to go to the competition, or you don't get to do this or do that. But if you're enjoying the journey and everything along the way, then you can find gifts in everything,
I would probably summarize it in like accepting where you are in each moment without having much expectations, because you don't really know what can happen, right? Things can change in a second. So
I definitely believe in having expectations, though. You need to believe.
Yeah.
But you also have to be able to learn when you don't get what you're believing for, what you're fighting for, when you don't get it, or when you fail, to not give up, recalculate, figure it out. It might look differently. You might have to completely renovate your house.
Be flexible, right?
Be flexible. Except don't let it destroy you when you're expecting, yes, but don't let it destroy you if it doesn't happen. Learn from it, grow from it, teach people about it, and keep going,
That's a nice life tip for everyone watching today and watching afterwards as well. And then, of course, while you were representing Canada and also participating at various championships, is there anyone in particular that you're looking up to in the judoka female representation? And also, do you have any judoka friends among your colleagues?
Oh, a lot of my friends are from judo because it becomes your life. So, I'd say the majority of my friends I met through judo, and it becomes a family, and there's different female athletes that I really look up to and that I highly respect. Some of them are current athletes. Some of them are former athletes and Olympians. My former first coach, Natalie Gosselin, was in the 96 Olympics, and she really took me under her wing and went out of her way to help me out. And so I really admire what she's done. Also, some of the people that are currently still training and that I've been training with for the last 6 or so years, just knowing some of their personal stories and that things that they have faced or mistakes that they've made and had to come back from and face the music, and they did it well. I so respect that. And I have a great place of honor for that in my heart. And I really, because that's not an easy thing to do. And so they know who they are. And they're definitely some people that I admire greatly for that courage to do that.
But tell me, how does it look like from the inside? So if you have friends among the judoka representatives, and then you have to fight, for example, one of them for a gold medal, how do you make this transition?
For me personally, I can't speak for everyone because I think everyone's different.
Yeah.
For me personally, I can be real great friends with you, but as soon as we get on that mat and we bow to get on that mat, it's a switch that's flipped. You're no longer just, I don't see you in the light or through the filter of being my friend or the lens of being my friend. I see you through the lens of you are my opponent. Mm-hmm. And so it's gloves off, there's to me, there's no mercy rule. I'm not going to be vicious and try to, do dirty things and, get this, but I'm going to do everything I can to win and everything within the bounds of judo to win. And then if I lose or if I win, like as soon as the mate goes and we're done, it's like, okay, hey, you want to go get some popcorn? But some people take a lot longer to process that and they just need a minute. And they just, need to figure it out. But for me personally, I can go right smack back to being friends. It's like the switch gets flipped again. So it's for me, it's a very quick and easy switch. But like I said, everybody's different. Some people, it takes a little more time.
But it's something, of course, you learn with time and with more training and gain through experience, I assume.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, and then as I was mentioning as well, so many medals throughout the time, and you grew as an athlete, and you were going towards the Paralympic Games in Tokyo, which were actually delayed for 1 year. Yep. So how did the process look like? You were preparing and then you had to take a break due to COVID, or did the preparation still continue? Right. How did that look like?
So for me, initially, it was wonderful because I had a problem with my hip for a while and I needed to get my labrum repaired, which required surgery. So I had to wait until after Tokyo. So when it got postponed a year, I took advantage of that and I got in as soon as possible and had that surgery done so I could come back stronger. And it worked. It was very successful. I was able to take the proper time to rest. I wasn't rushed back to training because there was no training. And then, things got a little bit more complicated when we got back to training because we live in a world, again, that's built for able-bodied people and in a system that people living with disabilities don't have as many funds and resources and support as the regular stream sports do. And so because of that, decisions had to be made that were very hard for me and hurtful to me as a person living with disability, and therefore making it the most difficult year of my adult life. And having to go in every day knowing and seeing and living what I would classify as discrimination and segregation was very hard, and so that process and what it looked like was this. So for a while, we all had to wear masks while we trained, and we all had to be in bubbles, and we all had sectioned off tape on the mat where we had our little section of the mat. And I was okay with that because we were all doing the same thing. But where it got really hurtful and really difficult for me, that I think I'm still working on recovering from, was when the decision was made to create a bubble for the Olympians to be able to train without a mask with over 20 athletes in a bubble and having 2 coaches and having no restrictions. So they had the entire move of the mat, but they didn't include the para program in that.
Yeah.
And that was so hurtful to me because it was a shock. First of all, I didn't expect that from them. I really thought I would be included as a, Tokyo qualified athlete. I thought I would be included in that bubble, or that provisions would be made for para. But I was told because of different budgets and things that way, I was not able to participate in those luxuries. So that was really hard. And so I had to continue to train with 2 or 3 training partners with a mask on leading up to Tokyo. And unfortunately for me too, they closed the border. So I didn't have access to my coach physically. So he couldn't come. And then the coach I had got moved to the Olympic bubble. So I was following a program on my phone there for a while, and that was difficult. But you know what? I think it really did build my mental resilience and mental determination and perseverance. And it just, I have a little bit of ODD. It's undiagnosed, oppositional defiance disorder. So if you put me in that type of situation, I'm going to prove to you I'm going to do it anyway. And so with the support of all those around me, and let me tell you, it was a lot of support. There was a lot of earfuls. There was a lot of potential almost meltdowns. But those people that were strategically placed in my life, including my coach, including my mental prep consultant, Angela, and fellow teammates on the able-bodied team, and good friends of mine, they helped me get through that. They put up with my cranky moments and my shortness of temper sometimes, and my flusteredness, and they accepted me and they helped me through that. And then we ended up being able to go to Texas for training, so I could train properly in Texas without restriction. And so I did that for 2 weeks with a training partner from Japan, who OTP so graciously funded. And so her and I were able to train really well together. My coach, Andre, obviously, he came with us, and his family also sacrificed him being here with us the whole summer. And we went from Texas to Great Britain, where I was able to compete for the first time, and then injured my elbow 8 weeks before the games. And then we flew home with my injured elbow. It was pretty bad. For 2 weeks, I had to quarantine and couldn't train anyway, which was good because it helped my elbow a little bit.
Okay.
But still, no training for 2 weeks. So now we're at to 6 weeks before the games. And I flew out to Calgary and Lethbridge, where they also accepted us with open arms and were so loving and so resourceful. They gave us access to their physio and just everything we needed for my elbow, all the training part, all the judokas, all those young judokas. They really helped me. They went out of their way to be with me as a partner, and my training partner came with us there too, Emmy, and she was just so supportive and phenomenal and helpful, and just a gift from God too. And then being able to train there without restrictions, and then coming back home after the Olympic team left for Tokyo. We came here for 2 weeks, back home to Montreal, where they lifted the restrictions for the judokas after the Olympic team left. So I could train for the last 2 weeks with no mask, and with 5 or 6 girls that were phenomenal, by the way. They were fantastic. And then it was to Tokyo. So after that, we left for Tokyo. So that's the journey in a nutshell. That was a long answer.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you had the whole package, it seems like, before.
It was something.
But you were able to keep it all together. Like, good for you. It's really admirable.
I mean, I kept it together as much as I could, but sometimes there's other people keeping me together, you know? So
Yeah.
again, surrounding yourself with people that are supportive and loving and accepting goes a long, long, long way. And sometimes we've got to remember, I'm going to be that person to somebody else one day too. So being sensitive to the fact there might be somebody around you that's going through something like that you can help support will be so wonderful too.
But I think what's important to mention here is that you also have to be vocal about it. So don't be afraid generally to speak up or ask or have those people around you. And we don't have to bear everything by ourselves, right?
That's correct. Absolutely. Yeah, speaking up, because silence kills.
Right.
It's been said, it's been proven. Silence kills. So speaking up, reaching out, advocating, finding advocates. Yeah, definitely voice it. Be heard. Find someone who will hear, even if they can't do anything about it. Just find someone who can hear you at least.
Mm-hmm. So, as you've mentioned your journey, the whole package you had to face. Before that, you still had a great week, including being named Canada's flag bearer for Tokyo Paralympic Games. So
Yes.
How did that happen?
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. I was not expecting that at all. I get a phone call when I was walking my dog, and she's like, "Hey, give me a call when you get back from walking your dog." And I thought something was wrong. It was the chef de mission. And I thought, oh, something must be wrong, And I get back home and she's like, "Hey, you're the flag bearer and you can't tell anyone." So I was so excited to be named the flag bearer. It was the hardest secret I had to keep. And then when they announced it in Tokyo, it was really exciting. And, it was such an honor for multiple reasons. But one of the biggest being, I felt like it was not just representing Canada, with the flag walking in the stadium, but it was representing Paralympic Canadians who had a struggle. Well, every games, but a special one during COVID. We all experienced varying levels of discrimination and forgetfulness. And so representing that community was extra special to me. And, there was only about 5 people. There was one athlete, the chef de mission, my guide, a doctor, and a security that came with us to the opening ceremonies. That was it for the delegation to Canada that was allowed to go to the opening ceremonies. So I felt a deep level of gratitude. And as I walked, I was picturing the rest of my team, 128 delegation, screaming and cheering with me as if they were with me, and picturing them leaping and just the energy that they would exude. That's what I was feeling inside of me. And so I was walking on behalf of them, and I was walking with them because I carried them with me in my heart as I walked. And I know that sounds cheesy, but
no, it was a big responsibility, I feel, right? At least you felt it.
You don't want to take that for granted, because it's already an honor and it's already a special thing to be named flag bearer. But when you're the only one in the delegation that's allowed to go to the ceremony, it just becomes like extra. There's another level of gratitude there.
Nice. I really hope you enjoyed every second of
I did. It was such a tough walk, though. My guide's like, "Slow down." So I was trying to milk the moment.
That's an amazing story. So good for you. And then going to the actual judo and your performance, you finished second. So tell me about this experience, the challenges, the mindset, and everything around this.
For sure. The challenges, I can't remember there being. Now, it could be because I was caught up in the moment. I don't know. Maybe my coach would have something different to say, but I don't remember there being too many challenges in Tokyo. The main one, obviously, was the elbow, and trying to figure out a way to be able to train and get prepared for the big day with a very injured elbow and limited motion.
It was not fully recovered when you were in Tokyo?
It was not, no.
Oh my God, okay.
But we figured out a way to anyway, so that was probably like the biggest challenge that I can think. But other than that, everything was so well done. Kudos to the Japanese people and organizing committee and volunteers. They did an amazing job of both presentation, facilitating, and then also just their energy levels to keep the atmosphere up, because there's no spectators, right? So to give you guys a glimpse, there's absolutely no spectators whatsoever other than your own team members. And So it was, they would go out of their way to cheer and to clap. And there'd be like 30 of them lined up, socially distanced, but lined up as you walk to wherever it was you're going. And you walk into the food, like the cafeteria, and they'd all say hello to you, all of them, all at the same time. And it was like a song. It was so fun. And it was just beautiful. And then probably also the longest walk I had was walking from Canada House to the weigh-ins, because you're dehydrated. You just want to refill with water and eat. And, and so that was a long walk. But then once I was hydrated, I realized it really wasn't that far. But it was just wonderful. People were so happy. And then in the competition, there's a separate gym to warm up and to kind of hang out. And then when you got called, you had to go in a big lineup in a long hallway and go through gi control, where they make sure that you have a legal gi on and you don't have any plastic or any harmful things on you. And then you go through gi control, and then you're in the chute. Now you're waiting. So you're watching the fights as they go, and you're kind of hiding behind black curtains. And then eventually, when you're waiting, that the rest of the world can see you, but you're still just waiting. And then the referee comes over and your coach passes you off to the referee. You will go up the stairs, you bow, and the fight begins. And then you bow, and then you go down the stairs, and the process just repeated throughout the day. So it was so quiet in there. I could hear my coach. I could hear people cheering for me or giving me advice of what to do, or just being supportive. So it was really cool to actually be able to hear people.
Yeah, while you were speaking, I was sharing the pictures from Tokyo with our audience. So
nice.
And even
it was something
with the flag. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. I called my mom and my grandma and my dad, because they were all together at my grandma's house watching the opening ceremonies on TV at the wee hours, because they knew I would be coming out. And so I called them in the tunnel just before I came out of the tunnel and had to hang up the phone so I could get out. But it was they were so excited too, and it made me proud knowing they were proud.
Nice. So tell me about the last game, right? So that was the last fight for the medal. So
yeah.
How did you prepare, and how did you feel at that particular moment? Did the nerves actually get to you, or your techniques?
No, I got out techniqued. The nerves did not get to. I wasn't nervous. I was just enough nervous that I didn't want to make a mistake, but I was not nervous to the point that it would be anywhere near consuming me. Okay. I just wanted it. I wanted it more than I was nervous for it. Mm-hmm. And so I got out there, and I knew it was going to be really difficult. She sees pretty well. She's got good hands, so she watches my feet a lot. I knew that. What surprised me about her was the last time I fought her, she was very strong physically, and just trying to dominate physically and doing drops. And that's what we prepared for. What actually happened, she was very light on her feet, actually, and not trying to dominate with me with force as well. I mean, she was to a degree, but not the way that I was expecting. And she was faster on her feet. She was quicker with her dynamic movements, and she clearly was training for my style of judo to be able to. And so that was a surprise to me. And I remember thinking, okay, when that first throw she did, where I went up in the air, and I was like, oh no, okay. And then I spin to my stomach. I'm like, that was close. But so now I'm like, okay, it just takes one moment. I just need one moment, one opportunity. And I knew I was like walking on thin ice, because she's just that much more skilled and sighted that I knew it was going to be very hard. But I kept my optimism, and it wasn't until she did the second throw, the same one, but this time I was bent over a little bit more, and she had both my arms. So I went straight up and onto my back, and I knew it was over. But my biggest concern was, I'm like, okay, how long did I last? I hope it was, at least, longer than a few seconds. And I got off. The first question, I gave my coach a hug, gave Andre a hug. And I said, how long was it? Like, that was my first question, was how long was it? And it was 2 minutes. So I was happy with it, considering all things considered. In an idealistic world, of course, I'd be fighting another fully blind person. But you know what? It is what it is. It was what it was. I have no regrets. I did the best I could. I laid it all out. We all did the best we could as a support staff, as everybody. So I have absolutely no regrets. I was very happy, very pleased to be standing on the podium with the silver medal. And, you know, yes, I lost epically, but at least I can say it was an epic throw. So, you know, and now regulations are changing. We don't have the confirmation of the details yet. It's still an appeal, but it looks as though I will only be fighting, or like B1 or fully blind people will only now be fighting B1 people or fully blind people. So that's a really great outcome of this whole thing as well.
Loving the positive attitude always, regardless. And congratulations to you again for such an achievement, right? And when you look back at your 23-year-old self, starting from scratch and truly believing in yourself, and look where you are today, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm not the same person I was at 23. For sure. And, you know, hopefully I'm not. It's been over, 13 years. But I'm just so, I'm proud of her. You know, when I look back, she was shy. She was timid. She had ambition. She had a vision. She had dreams and goals. And I feel like she just grew into herself, and is no longer shy. I'm no longer shy. I still have vision and goals. I'm very outspoken. I'm not timid. And, I definitely speak up for myself now. And I'm happy. I'm so happy.
Good for you. Congratulations on this milestone. And, hopefully we'll see more achievements in the future from Priscilla. But now I want to deviate a bit from judo, and I want to talk a bit about your volunteering experience, especially the empowering sessions and all of the speeches you're giving throughout the country. So, tell me more about the special programs that you're doing for the kids, and how are they being received? And did you already see some effect of this activity?
Sure. So I love how you call it empowerment sessions. Like, that's so cool. I never thought of that. I might have to steal that from you. It's been going amazing. It started before COVID hit, and then just at the peak of it, when I was starting to get lined up with different schools and dojos, the pandemic hit. And so I thought, I'm not going to lose this momentum. So as soon as we were allowed to go back in the schools, I connected with this group called Visual Impaired. And so they connect athletes with schools and schools with athletes that want to speak and impart their stories and wisdom to the kids. Mm-hmm. So I started doing that before COVID. Now it's just been, I got to go to my hometown in Granby, where I was born. I was not raised there, so I didn't get to go in the schools, but the kids, they somehow knew that my hometown was Granby, and they were so excited. And I had these t-shirts made up that have different sayings on them. Some say high hopes, some say, dream it, live it, love it, just little slogans, and just throwing them out into the crowd. And I share my story with them, and then I do a little demonstration, a judo demonstration, and then we do a Q&A. We always have a Q&A as well. And it's so much fun because, I love kids. Kids are just so amazing. I just love their energy. I love their curiosity, their unfiltered questions. And I wasn't expecting, especially the younger kids, I didn't expect the amount of questions that came. And after the fact too, they were coming up to me after and asking questions. And I thought, wow, and they just really want to get to know you. And I thought, this is great. It's so cool that they have organizations like Visual Impaired that do these kinds of things in the schools, where kids can have these role models and mentors to pour into their lives. And then the high schools too. I love doing high schools so much because they're loud. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. And they get a kick out of throwing people. So when I do the judo demonstrations, I can't see, if I teach them how to do it to each other, I can't see if they're doing it correctly, and they might get hurt. Mm-hmm. So I teach them and I let them throw me. So I know if they're not going to do it right. I know if it's going to hurt, I can adjust how I fall or whatever. And they just love throwing adults. They just think it's the coolest thing. And it is. It's so fun. So it's a big part of my career transition is going to be doing more and more and more of those. And that's kind of my passion right now. Is kind of what I want, seeing myself, after Paris, or like leading up to Paris. I want to get into it more and more. where I'll be speaking in schools or businesses, and just really going further with that with the kids and with adults alike, teachers too. Because, parents and teachers have more influence than they know on kids, so you can be a kid's hero and never know it because of one thing you let them do or one thing you said to them that just stuck with them, and you'll never know. Or just your smile, when they needed to see a smile. And I feel like being able to share that with teachers and encourage them to really share that with the kids, I think it will also change the kids' lives as well and empower them as well. Anyway, so that's my passion currently.
No, it's amazing. I think it's really nice that you have the awareness of bringing this to the world and bringing this to the kids, and also actually finding time for this. This is really inspiring again. So thank you for doing that. I think it's really important to share what we know and what we've learned in our journeys.
Yeah, they were my motivation. When I wanted to walk away, there was my coach who supported me, so I didn't want to let him down. And then there was the kids. And I thought, what am I going to stand up and say at the kids? Am I going to say, oh, when it gets hard, push through it. But when it gets really difficult, it's okay to walk away and quit. I'm like, no, I cannot give that message. And so they were my motivation, to stick it out.
Right. Okay, so what's next for Priscilla? Do we expect you to see in Paris, or what's happening?
Well, I will be training. I'm just waiting for some test results to come back for my elbow.
Yeah.
And I'll start a plan and build a plan to start training for Paris. I'm also working on a book right now that I'm really excited about. I'm working on some songs. I don't sing, but I write. So I'm working on getting those into the studio so I can sell them. And the school conferences is my biggest project right now. I just bought a domain. It's so exciting to say that. I bought a domain. So it's not up yet, but eventually it'll be highhopesministries.com. And it'll be what I want to do with my life. It'll be speaking engagements. It'll be reaching out, connecting with kids and youth and all of that, and just pouring more hope and influence into the world.
Fingers crossed. I wish you all the best in all the plans that you have going forward. We'll be rooting for you regardless,
Thank you.
I cannot believe the time has flown by so fast. I want to, with your permission, go to the second part of our chat about the truth, the section of truth and myths.
I'm so nervous about this section, but let's do it.
I promise the questions will not be very hard.
Okay.
Okay, so please shed some light. So it's basically, I'm asking you a question. So feel free to explain to us and to our audience today. Is it true? Is it not? Where is the truth in this statement? Yeah,
I will. Okay. Whatever I know, I will share.
Excellent. That's the plan. All right. So judo is both a sport and a martial art.
Absolutely true. Yes. 100%. Okay.
This is true, and this is a fact, because I think most people think it's just something rather than having it combined, right? So thank you for actually confirming that it's both, right?
There's classical judo, which is very, very much techniques and recreation, and then there's what we call shiai judo, which is competition judo. So that's techniques that are tailored to competition style.
Okay, thank you. Second, judo is most suitable sport for visually impaired people.
I don't know if it's the most suitable, but it's a very suitable sport because it is hands-on. It is a huge learning curve. So this is where I hesitate to say suitable, because it's a big learning curve. If you try to teach somebody a judo technique that can't see, they rely 100% on what you're saying, and then your body positioning, that you have to actually let them feel your body or you position their body. So it's a huge learning curve, but it is very possible. It is very attainable, and it is very fun.
So instead of most suitable, we would just leave suitable, right?
I don't know. I'd still say very suitable. It's just with the idea in mind that it is a learning curve.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds fair. Okay. So judo means you'll get beaten up.
I mean, you learn how to fall. It's true. My injured elbow, sure. But it also means you get to beat other people up. And it also means that you learn how to fall. And eventually you get less and less beat up the better you get. And the more you work and the higher you climb, the less you get tossed. So, yes.
Okay. But it's both ways. You get beaten up, but you also get to beat up.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what was attractive to me.
Good clarification. Next one is about the Japanese judokas. So Japanese judokas are in advantage to win because judo originates from Japan.
Well, let me tell you, they have a natural skill. They learn pretty much from the womb. It's in their schools from their earliest ages.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. And like here's hockey, there it's judo. So, and their bodies are just so as we say in French, like a very soft and beautiful, flexible judo. And yeah, they definitely have a huge advantage. They usually get a lot of the medals, in judo and on the podium, and especially at home. A home crowd, just like here, a home crowd. But when a home crowd in Japan it's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's in their genes, I guess.
Absolutely, yep. It's their lifestyle.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Another statement that I want you to confirm. You are the first Canadian to win a silver medal at the Paralympic Games.
That's correct, but I'm not the first Paralympic to win a medal. So back in, I think it was the late 80s, 88, I want to say, two brothers went to the Paralympics and got bronze. And
bronze.
So I'm the first female and the first
silver medal.
Silver, yep.
Yeah. Congratulations. Sky's the limit. We look forward for more medals from Canada.
Yes.
And then the last one, you've been doing excellently, so stay with me. The last statement is, it's all about the physical strength in judo. So physical strength is the most important factor when playing judo.
No, not at all. As you can see, because if that was true, I would not have survived with the injured elbow. So it is, I like the strength part of it, but it is opportunistic. It's what we call balance and equilibrium, and weight distribution, your center of gravity, and manipulating that into your advantage. So it's definitely more about skill and technique than it is about strength. But I will say, since I don't always have the technique, the strength does seem to work for me.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. I think most people have just like a general overview about what this sport is about. Now that we know it's both a sport and a martial art. So thanks very much for providing us details. And let's say we all learned more details about judo today. So good.
Well,
good,
thanks so much for having me and for letting me share the story with you guys and with all of you. It's an honor.
It's my honor, and I'm really, I got inspired from while you were speaking, so I want to congratulate you on this amazing journey you had, and actually give you the floor if you have any, let's say, final remarks or anything that you want to share at the end of our session today.
I would just say first of all, thank you to my support team. Everyone, if I name them all by name, there wouldn't be enough time, but we all can be each other's support team. And, I feel like if we look for somebody who could use some support, it will go a long way. And, whatever your dreams and goals are, if it's not judo, if it's not sport, maybe it's to be an author or an artist, persevere, don't do what you got to do to pay the bills, but don't forget, never forget your dreams and your goals. Keep going after them somehow, some way.
And be grateful for everything that comes your way.
Be grateful. Look for the gift in the suffering. Let me tell you, that was a big lesson. There's always a gift if you don't suffer in vain. Look for the gift.
You seem like a book full of wisdom, so I hope you'll keep adding wisdom into that book. Priscilla, thank you so very much. It was an honor and a pleasure to have you today. it was amazing to hear your story, your journey. I hope we meet again in the future with more stories to share about other achievements. I look forward to see your book released, right? And I wish you all the best in especially the empowering sessions you're having with the kids, which is truly amazing, and many other things that you will engage in the future. So I'm not saying goodbye. I'm just saying see you later for something.
Until next time.
Thanks very much, and thanks to everyone watching. And we'll see each other very soon for another session with another guest. Thank you, guys. Take care.